Hello, so a wonderful afternoon to everyone. So, this is a complete follow up to the varieties of English and the registers of the spoken language that we had just discussed this morning. So, varieties of English. So, we all know what World English is. So, it is the variety of English that has been spoken in various countries, who not only here in the Philippines, but also in predominantly English speaking countries such as the United States of America, Great Britain, Canada, New Zealand, and Australia. So, in the Asian context, the concept was introduced by Braj Kachru, and the famous three concentric circles of the Asian Englishes attributed to Kachru presents the three circles. So, the three circles are the inner circles, the outer circles, and the expanding circles. Now, for the inner circles, these are the circles or the countries that predominantly speak in English, and we have the USA, Australia, United Kingdom, New Zealand, and Canada. The outer circles, on the other hand, use English as a sort of secondary language or primary language, and it depends upon the usage of people or their education or the demand to learn these languages. So these countries include Bangladesh, Kenya, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Ghana, Malaysia, Philippines, Tanzania, and India, Nigeria, Singapore, and Zambia. And then we have the expanding circle. So these are the countries that don't really know how to speak English that much and require further intervention for them to learn the language. So these people usually hire tutors or take English speaking foreign classes in order to learn the language better. So this includes China, Indonesia, Korea, South Africa, CIS, the Caribbean countries, Israel, Nepal, South America, Zimbabwe, Egypt, Japan, Saudi Arabia, and Taiwan. According to Bautista and Gonzalez in 2006, the structural characteristics of these new varieties differ. So this is brought about by the mother language or the home languages of those who learn or acquire English, and even in terms of social features, differences can also be highlighted, and there is a continuum of the basilectal, mesolectal, and acrolectal varieties of English within the same speech community. So the acrolect would refer to the same with the standard. So we have the standard English, while the basilect digresses thoroughly from it and comes closer to the pidgin. And the mesolect is the middle variety, is between the acrolect and the mesolect. So when you say pidgin, it is sort of the mother language. Bautista and Gonzalez use the term edulects for these varieties resulting from certain types of education ascertained by social class, but are conveyed or transferred by the kind of instruction of the school system, especially for those coming from higher income families or better educated classes. So, as regards to structural variation, Katcher and Nelson in 2006 claim that these varieties of English are influenced by local languages in various areas of their grammar and exhibit specific phonological, lexical, syntactic, and discoursal characteristics. In short, having these languages from the outer circle, from the expanding circle and the outer circle, most of these Englishes will be a blend of the native speaker's mother tongue as well as with the English language. This will show in how words are being pronounced or sometimes how English words, are being used in sentences. For instance, in the terms of stress and rhythm, outer and expanding varieties observe syllable-timed rhythm rather than stress-timed rhythm. So an example would be Nigerians say success for success. Success for success. And Indians and Nigerians say recognize for recognize. Recognize. So there's a stress in the COG rather than saying it like recognize. Moreover, speakers from the outer and expanding circles do not make any changes in their pronunciations to make a distinction between nouns and verbs in pairs which inner circle countries observe in the cases of import, which is the noun, import. The team hired a Brazilian import. And import, which is the verb. Okay? And do not utilize contrastive stress for focusing. As regards of sounds, outer and expanding circles do not observe initial aspiration of voiceless plosives such as P, T, K, and these are often perceived by inner circle countries as B, D, and G. Some speakers of expanding circles varieties, as in the case of Japanese speakers, do not properly distinguish between R and L. So, for example, in the P, T, and K, so most inner circle varieties, so that's in your American, for example, in America, they don't really say 90. Although in the Philippines, we stress it as 90, 20, 30, 40. They say 90, 20, 30, 40. Okay, so there's already this muting that's being done in the inner circles. Now for the Japanese, they have a difficulty with their R and L. Lollipop sometimes sounds like lollipop. Okay, so according to Pope in 1676, as cited in Katru and Nelson, in the case of syntactic features, question answering systems differ between inner and outer expanding circles. So while the former observes the positive-negative system where the answer follows the polarity of the question, for example, if the question is in the positive and the answer confirming the assumption of the questionnaire is in the positive, and the answer is disconfirming the assumption is in the negative. If, however, the question of the assumptioner is in the negative as well, while the answer disconfirming the assumption of the questioner is in positive. So the latter observes agreement-disagreement system, which poses difficulty to speakers who follow the positive and negative system, particularly in interpreting yes or no of responses unless it is followed by a clarification. For example, yes, I think you're right. No, that's not so. So with respect to lexicon, now when you say lexicon, this is your verbal or mental dictionary, or the words that you know, you have assumed to have known. Okay, so that's your definition of lexicon. So in Singapore, they call their nurse as Missy. Rubber stamps are called chap. Youngsters who spend their leisure time around Marina Bay area are called Marina Kids or mga cool kids, di ba, sa tuwa diri sa Philippines. Well-educated married women are called graduate mothers, and then there are also mothers who did not graduate from college are called non-graduate mothers. So this lexicon is unique to Singapore, which is an outer circle. So in the Philippines, we have the word deep to mean puristic or hard to understand, stick for cigarette, high blood for hypertension, blowout means that you're treating somebody, motel is where people make love, okay, for premarital or extramarital affairs, manualize means to prepare manuals, go ahead means I will leave before. We also have studentry, we have amboy, we have promdi, we have behest loans, and we have pulot boy to call those people na kanang sa volleyball and volleyball or tennis who will pick up the balls. And then balikbayan box, which is uniquely Filipino because apparently Filipinos are the ones who love their balikbayan boxes. Then we also have Malaysian lexicon. Malaysian antilog is a male who is hated by a girl. Popcorn is a loquacious person or tabian. Diba? When you cook popcorn, sabaan man siya. And then you have peanuts, okay, which means easy. Slumbar means to relax. Then we also have red spot open shelf girls, girls who are popular and those who are not. And then we have day bugs, those who come to attend school but do not live in the residence hall. Okay? When Bautista's monograph on defining standard Philippine English, its status and grammatical features came out in the 2000s, she answered the usual question asked about the English language. Is there really an English or a standard Filipino English? And when does an error become a feature of the Philippine English? She stressed that just like any other new variety of English, such as Indian English, Singaporean, Malaysian, Nigerian English, the Philippine English is legitimate, having its own grammatical, lexical, and syntactical features. Okay, so accordingly, Bautista cited 7, and I'm just going to place them here one by one, and we are going to discuss them. So first is there is a preference for specific words and collocations, specifically like shall, could, such, or wherein. So very common ni siya sa mga iyon-ani nga books. These are law books. These might be American jurisprudence, but if you're going to look at these books, these contain a lot of shall, could, wherein. Mahilig ta iyon-ani ang mga Filipinos because we think it sounds more formal, more academic. Okay? Then we also have unusual words, number 2, unusual words and collocations, specific terms and word combinations which may have been originally confused with other collocations because of their frequent use. For example, results to instead of results in. Then we also have, number 3, unusual prepositional usage, including omission of prepositions in 2-word verbs, addition of prepositions to verb phrases, local use of different prepositions in noun phrases, and the following certain verbs or adjectives. Okay, so these are unique to the Philippine English. Another point again is the word order features consisting of the placement of the time adverb before the place adverb, placement of the adverb between the verb and object, placement of the adverb between the noun and prepositional phrase, placement of the indirect object introduced between the verb and direct object, other unusual verb placements. So we also have use of articles, including absence of definite articles, unusual use of definite articles, and absence of indefinite articles. We also have noun subcategorizations, consisting of the non-pluralization of count nouns, the reclassification of General American English, mass nouns or count nouns. Then we have pronoun antecedent incongruence. Okay, this is common. Pronoun and your antecedent incongruence. So, for example, the speaker is a man, and then we refer to him or her as, to him naman. Okay, again, the speaker is a man, and you're addressing him as a she. Okay? So, diba, when you write, sometimes diba, it happens, when you write a letter, you know that the person is Miss Sayson, or my name is Claudette Sayson and I'm female. And then you're going to write me a letter and you're going to write, Dear Sir / Madam. Okay, so there is already an incongruence or an inconsistency there. Because dapat, diba, ang nakabutang sa ako ang name is Miss. Diba? Or Madam. Claudette Sayson, Claudette Angie Sayson, Faculty, Andres Bonifacio College, dayon, Miss, colon, or Madam, colon, no more Sir or Madam. Okay? Then reclassification of transitive verbs. Then tense aspect usage of consisting of an unusual use of verb forms. So as for the question, when does an error become a feature of the Philippine English? Gonzalez in 1985 has this to say. When do these errors cease to be errors and become part of the standard? If enough educated elites in the society commit to those errors, then these errors in effect have been accepted by society as the standard. So it really goes to show that if these English words or these English mistakes are often used by those people who are perceived as educated, as authorities, therefore these words will be cemented into our own system of language. For example, I'm going to place a picture of this person here. She is the deceased Miriam Defensor Santiago, one of the most, for me, she's one of the most intelligent women that this country has ever seen, and she's really good in arguing. She experienced being a judge. She was part of the Senate, and she could have been president had the Philippines been wiser. So Senator Miriam Defensor is known for her many jokes, many anecdotes, and many speeches. But there are times that Miriam Defensor Santiago, as inventive as she is, would really create new words or new phrases. For example, this word, verbal diarrhea, in order to address a certain person whom she had a riff with in Congress. So that word, verbal diarrhea, although it is not quite common in the standard English, but because it has been used by an authority who is perceived to be intellectual, influential, and of course is knowledgeable about the English language, having been a teacher herself, then this mistake or this new species of word is then adopted into the English language. So this also goes for so many words like your comfort room, barangay captain, for manualize, and so on and so forth. So there are so many words that were created as bloopers, but then they have become part of the Philippine English. So the foregoing discussion only shows how dynamic English is. These are only some of the essential features of some varieties of English which could have been given full attention by users coming from different cultures. From the variety of English used by the native speakers such as the British, the Americans, Canadians, Australians, and New Zealanders, English has evolved from post-colonial varieties and should not be mistaken as errors, most especially if they have become the standard in the speech community and have been codified. So it becomes a standard in a speech community and is codified. So when you say standard in a speech community, it has been part of a speech community's language. Codified meaning it has been included in written text, it has been included in books on how to deal with grammar. So it means that these errors in the English language by post-colonial countries are no longer errors themselves, but part of a unique form or variety of English outside the inner circle. So you have to be aware of and recognize intercultural communication, as you need to be sensitive to the people around you who belong to different cultural heritages and have their own linguistic identity. When you encounter them, you will be able to avoid misunderstanding, avoid communication breakdown, and overcome language barriers with less difficulty since you are exposed to their own language features. This way, you will be able to enhance your social and personal interactions. So this formally ends our first part of our lecture. So I hope that you will have a great day, and then please try to read the materials that I am uploading because they're very important to the lessons in case you cannot answer our Zoom calls or have a problem in connecting them. So thank you for watching this video. I hope that you will have a great day ahead of you. Goodbye.